is NTV.
Good afternoon. Welcome to a 1 o'clock news update. My name is Mark Masai, and we start on a note where the COVID-19 Millionaires Expose that we aired on Sunday is having developments and is definitely causing ripples in the nation. The Kenya Medical Supplies Authority CEO Jona Manjari dramatically failed to appear before the Senate Ad Hoc Committee on COVID-19 for grilling over the loss of billions of shillings through fraudulently procured medical supplies. The suspended chief executive, who's been adversely mentioned in the mega graft network through a letter, stated that he is unwell. But the legislators would hear none of it. We'll be getting that drama with NTV's Setolale, who's working on that particular report. But still connected to this, a section of leaders have faulted the anti-graft agencies for dragging their feet and cracking down on those implicated in corruption and irregular payments at the Kenya Medical Supplies Authority, that is KEMSA. This follows details that exposed how KEMSA dished out tenders worth billions of shillings to mysterious entities under the cover of the COVID-19 pandemic.
Majina makubwa na majina ya watu wanaoongoza serikali na walioko katika vyuo vya juu serikalini wanahusika. Na labda hii ndio sababu imefanya Kinoti na Barak wasiweze kuondoka kwa mwendo unaostahili wa haraka na kuchunguza mambo haya. Lakini tunataka kuwaambia hapa, si tuliokaa hapa tukiwakilisha Wakenya, kwamba Wakenya wanaongojea kuona ni hatua gani zitachukuliwa, na kama asichukuliwi wajua wameandika historia kwamba pesa ya kusaidia watu walioko na ugonjwa wa corona silikuja Kenya, sikaibiwa, na wanaoiba wanajulikana, na hao wawili wakakataa kuongoza uchunguzi ambao unastahili.
And still on the same, a group of activists engage in running battles with police officers today in Nairobi's Central Business District, urging the government to take action on all those who are involved in corruption following missing COVID-19 funds in the billions. This comes after that particular expose done on NTV highlighting the loss of, to be precise, 43 billion shillings in irregular procurement at KEMSA.
Chanting in unison, this group of activists were determined to drive the message home. The message of how corruption is bleeding the nation, slowly bringing it to its knees. Since the first COVID-19 positive case in the country, Kenya started receiving donations from its partners across the globe. This also saw the country create a kitty which would cushion all counties in terms of preparedness. Some of the key pointers raised by the protesters is lack of accountability by the government in how the funds were utilized, considering the dwindling economy as a result of COVID-19, with many Kenyans losing their jobs. Police officers dispersed the crowd using tear gas while arresting a number of the protesters. The Ministry of Health has maintained that any allegations of corruption within its ranks is a matter under investigation, with the Health CS recently appearing before the Senate Health Committee for grilling. Helen Aura, NTV.
Is against chapter 6.
So in case you experienced some traffic, I know I did as I was coming in, that is probably why there was a bit of a sticky situation. But the conversation on this particular COVID-19 millionaires scandal will continue. Even the deputy president has spoken about this, saying that there is no way in heaven or on earth that he can be connected to this particular scandal. Well, as I mentioned earlier, Kenya Medical Supplies Authority CEO Jona Manjari dramatically failed to appear before the Senate Ad Hoc Committee on COVID-19 for for grilling over the loss of billions of shillings through fraudulently procured medical supplies. On his part, he said he fell ill. Let's listen in.
Money. And this is a serious matter. If you go to Kisumu today, we do not even have masks. Most of our counties are suffering today. And yet, the money was allocated. And yet, few individuals are now rich. And now you come here and bring us the high-profile advocate to listen to you, to represent you, to protect you. There will be no way this time.
Those who supplied air, they will have to chew that air. We will follow. If they say they purchase things from China, we will go to China until we're able to identify where these things were going.
We are dealing with a situation where life of individuals and people is involved. And therefore, it's a very weighty matter and therefore bears consequences.
We shall get to the bottom of this issue. That one I can guarantee you. And just so that I can quell the fears of Senator Dr. Langat, our mandate can be expanded to the point where we have finalized our work, and as we have promised Kenyans, our reports will come full circle and we'll file them, and we will do our duty as legislators and as representatives of Kenyans.
If indeed anyone who is involved in this matter, they will carry their own cross. We are going to do justice to these public funds. Nobody is special. This Committee of Health is capable to do its mandate. And we assure the Kenyans, we are with you and we are going to stand with the public fund.
And if they pull out 85% of the programming for Kenya from HIV, tuberculosis and malaria are from the Global Fund. This is going to go beyond COVID to all other diseases, and I cannot imagine what will happen.
We are not going to buy time to cover up an issue that has costed lives.
We'll want to adjourn this meeting to next week. We'll give you a date, and I hope we'll all be in-house so that we come to the bottom of this matter. So that the embarrassment that we are facing as Kenyans, we cannot manage funds. You know, we cannot manage a pandemic. People are getting rich.
Well, a quick recovery to the Kenya Medical Supplies Authority CEO, Jonah Manjari, who was taken ill just before his grilling in that session. We need the answers, and we hope he'll be well enough to give those answers soon. NTV Setolali is working on that developing story and will give us the details in the subsequent bulletins. Let's go to Kasarani, where police are looking for two masquerading individuals. They were masquerading as police officers and harassing individuals. Their presence on the road and their identity seemed to have escaped the notice of authorities until yesterday. They tried to extort money from two members of the public. The two failed to raise money to pay for their release, and so they were handcuffed. Those are the two victims there. They were handcuffed using government-issued handcuffs. The fake police officers continued with their fake operation. When the real police officers arrived, though they were able to make their escape, they left their handcuffs that could provide police with clues on who they are.
I was just driving normally na hiyo barabara kufika hapa kwa hii kona, kuna jamaa mmoja amekuja akaniambia nisimame, anasema ni askari.
Tulikuwa na huyu rafiki yangu, tumetoka kuangalia spare part ya Nduthi hapa Thika Road. Tukapitia hii ya Kasarani, tukapatana na afande akatusimamisha, na walikuwa na madam mwingine hapo. Kutusimamisha wakashika Nduthi, tukaanguka, wakatuweka pingu, na ndio hii. Kidogo kidogo kuna gari ilitokea black, akatoroka na akaenda hadi na kifungu ya pikipiki. Alikuwa mguu, walikuwa hapa na madam mwingine. Waliwaambia ni nini wanataka? Walikuwa wanataka pesa.
Vijana pole. Now to the COVID-19 situation and how it affects the schools. The World Health Organization has stressed the need for Africa to consider reopening schools, stating that the prolonged closure due to COVID-19 is causing more harm to children. WHO notes that the extended impact of schools closure has led to exploitation among children, with increased cases of childhood pregnancies and exposure to violence. On the other hand, the Ministry of Education says it is better to safeguard the lives of the children rather than rushing to reopen. Helen Aura has the details.
Since the outbreak of COVID-19 in the country, the education sector has been shut down literally in an effort to avert the spread of the virus. According to a survey by WHO, in 39 sub-Saharan African countries, only 6 countries have reopened schools. 14 countries have schools closed, while in 19 countries, schools are partially open. Among the sub-Saharan countries, at least 12 are planning on resuming in September. This distribution has led to children being exposed to increased cases of violence, poor nutrition, as some families are going by without a meal as a result of family breadwinners losing jobs, thus being unable to fend for their families. The mental development of children, the WHO says, is going to suffer.
Education is a pathway out of poverty towards prosperity and better health for the African continent and for the world. The decision to open schools or not amid the pandemic is a difficult one, but we must find the right balance to avoid trading one adversity for another. The longer that children are out of school, the greater the risk that they may not return to school.
According to Education CS George Magoha, Kenya will not make hasty decisions in reopening schools.
Every Kenyan child has a right to live. Yes. If we are to open schools before we are prepared, before the disease comes down and is controlled, a number of children are going to die. Whose children are these that you want to sacrifice?
According to a UNICEF survey, in Eastern and Southern Africa, violence rates among children have gone up within the COVID-19 pandemic, while nutrition rates have also decreased.
Keeping children away also further expose them to risks that are known. Risk of being emotionally, physically, and even to a certain extent sexually abused.
UNICEF and WHO have issued out guidelines that will aid in the reopening of schools, such as physical distancing, cancellation of school events, providing hand-washing facilities, wearing of masks, discouraging unnecessary touching, and ensuring that sick students and teachers stay at home. The Ministry of Education has in the meantime urged tertiary learning institutions to ensure they are well prepared before reopening. Helen Aura, NTV.
There's been a lot of attention on the Senate in terms of the revenue sharing formula, and the president has put Senate on the spot in terms of the stalemate, saying that every county deserves its allocation depending on the reality on the ground. He spoke at KICC, where he was issuing some title deeds to residents, and Vincent Odor has been following that up. Vincent, what are the other highlights from his note?
Absolutely. The president today seemed to be unhappy with the continued stalemate over the revenue or the county revenue allocation new formula. And the president was even wondering and saying he doesn't understand what really the Senate wants, because to him it seems like the Senate even doesn't want the money, and he's wondering what is this that really the Senate wants, to a point that they have been unable to resolve the stalemate for the 9th time. And also the president really brought into picture a number of issues that have been coming up during this stalemate, because he gave an example of Nairobi County, saying that you cannot argue that somebody who is staying in Nairobi or Nairobi doesn't need more resources to be allocated to it simply because somebody is staying in Nairobi. Therefore, it means if you are staying in Nairobi, you are rich. Yet there are people in Nairobi who are living in informal settlements whereby there are not even toilets. And therefore, there is no way you can say such a person doesn't require more or extra resource allocation because he or she is staying in Nairobi. And now this puts into question and also raises the issue of a number of indexes that some people have been pushing for for them to be able to be considered while sharing resources to these counties, you know, like population, like the poverty level, or things to do with the poverty level in a particular area. And that will, moving forward, is likely to cause a lot of conversations on whether the president is also supporting a position whereby each and every county should be allocated resources based on the realities in those particular counties, on the population, and also the poverty level and the basic needs to the number of the actual people who are living in those counties. The president also took this opportunity to also talk about politics a bit, whereby he talked of saying of late he has been reading a lot of things, people talking too much about politics, leadership, and he is aware and he has been reading them, and for him he argues that he's not going to respond to them and he's not going to be talking to him. He's saying that he wants people to judge him based on his actions, and therefore those people are expecting that as president is going to respond to them or talk politics, he's not going to do so. And he was arguing that, saying that, you know, leadership comes from God, and therefore these people who are engaging in talks and talking every day about politics and taking over leadership of this country should just continue talking, but to him, he'll continue doing work, and people should judge him based on what he's doing as the President of the Republic of Kenya. And remember, President Uhuru Kenyatta was here at KICC to issue, where he issued more than 30,000 title deeds to residents of Nairobi, especially those living in Embakasi Ranching Company, those from Tasia Estates, and also people from informal settlements like Korogocho and Bagadi were able to get those title deeds today. And this was under the Nairobi Titling Program that was launched in 2018 by the President. That is for now. I'm taking you back to studio.
Thank you, Vincent, for that update, and we'll get more details and highlights from that particular function. Now, the growing number of teenage pregnancies over the last few months has been a cause for concern for parents across the country, as various options are explored to contain the situation. Programs have now been initiated countrywide to educate teenage girls through peer groups. And one such program is currently underway in CIS, seeking to empower teenage girls to be instruments of influence and change among their fellow peers. The mentorship of the girls is also including elements of play to occupy the time of the girls while helping them discover the joys of childhood.
The main aim of this program is to be able to reduce pregnancy. And pregnancy is an issue in this country. So we want a situation whereby the girls feel girls. The girls speak their minds. The girls are empowered to be able to lead. And that's why we've chosen the girls as peer educators to be able to empower others.
The program is very instrumental at this time because we know at this time most of these youths, the young girls, they are at home. They didn't expect